Got it,
Now we should be good.
got it. Got it, but to get that right.
So I just, yeah, there we go. Okay.
Today, May 11th, Thursday at 9 a.m., we are calling together our Waupaca County Highway Committee meeting. This meeting and all other meetings of this committee are open to the public. Proper notice has been posted and given to the media in accordance with Wisconsin statutes, and citizenry may be aware of the time, place, and agenda of this meeting. For roll call, we have everyone here except Fred Zaw. We do have four. Is there any changes to the agenda? Okay, I need a motion to review and approve the agenda.
Also move.
Second it.
Lee Muck made the motion, Dick Rowan seconded it. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Minutes of previous meeting of 4/27/23. Were there any changes before we do that? Okay, I need a motion.
Move to approve.
Negative. Motion by Jim Nygaard, second by Lee Muck. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Public comment, and that refers to anything on the agenda, and there's no one here. Do you have anything to share with us, Casey?
I have nothing for public comment, no.
Okay, moving on to review and approve payment vouchers.
All right, we'll go through the payment batch register dated April 28th, 2023, and touch on anything $1,000 or greater. So the first one I got is an invoice from Affordable Sandblasting and Painting. This was for our service truck. The service body on our yellow service truck was rusted out. And the new price of a service body, you're pushing $30,000 to get this one sandblasted and then get like the Rhino bed liner inside of all of the toolboxes with epoxy paint behind it all. So it'll last forever. It was $10,893.75. Charged to capital acquisition number 60. Anything greater than 5,000, we capitalize it. So
Where is that company that does that?
this one's located right in the city of Marion, coming
That's the
south.
one we went by when we-
It's on 110. It used to be Tim Nolan's
Okay.
horse auction. Yeah.
Okay, because I remember we went by there, that's where that was done.
He also bought my old store downtown.
Okay,
I don't know what he's using that for yet.
Jason Abbey, I think. Does that sound right?
I don't know. I haven't met him yet. He's busy.
Yeah.
the next one I have is from Arian Equipment Exchange, an invoice for $8,660.08, charged to unit 125T, which was a loader, and then also unit 114 for a service call on the default code. The next one is Brock White Company, an invoice for $4,860, charged to the town of Caledonia for some triaxial geogrid. That's nothing more than like a plastic grid that comes in huge rolls that we lay down on soft soils before we put breaker rock on top of it to keep the materials from mixing and matching when heavy traffic pushes it down. So that helps bridge soft soils. And that all went to the Bean City Park project, I believe. Compass Minerals America sold us road salt to our Helvetia shop for $55,355.33, charged to our stock account out of Helvetia. County Materials Corp had a bill for $16,996. That was for purchasing culvert pipes, particularly concrete culvert pipes for our County Highway S project. Basically that section from North Parkview all the way out to Highway 45, and then one small section for Highway S in front of the Marion Body Works. Energy Solution Partners had an invoice for $25,648.08, charged to our stock account out of Larrabee for unleaded and diesel fuel to fill those tanks up. Babbitt Cat had an invoice for $6,620.60, charged to unit 759, 1025, and 1027. The big one was for the mold board repair. Way at the bottom, 1027 is our finished grader. G. Michelson more commonly uses it mostly, and that's the one that finishes our roads before we pave them. And the mold board was out of spec as far as meeting the tolerances that it needed to. It was wore out, so we needed to put it back together. That our newest grader is 10 years old, so that's one of the reasons I go through the ARPA requests for a grader. Farrell Equipment and Supply had an invoice for $13,633.99 for plastic culverts and then landscape staples charged back to the town of Caledonia, and then also for our Highway E project, Highway O project, and Highway Q. You may see us used, I guess, erosion mat. After we seed, we don't just spray hay on top of it. We just use the E-mat and be done with it. So we know it won't blow away and it'll keep the seed in place. Fastenal Company had an invoice for $1,181.16 charged to all accounts. Garo Oil sold us diesel fuel and unleaded fuel here at our Wapaka shop for $25,797.87. GFL Environmental hauled away our garbage, which got split between the buildings and grounds account and the state routine maintenance agreement account for $2,142.20. Grays is who we purchase our cutting edges for, graders, bulldozers, and even some plow equipment, but for most part, it's for summer equipment charged to our stock account for $5,412. Elron Lubricants sold us grease. We put this in an undistributed fund because grease is used and spread out over all of our equipment. So that was for $2,808.92. Jmar sold us grass seed for this year for $2,470, initially charged to the stock account. And then it'll get charged to those projects as we use it. JX Enterprises had an invoice for $1,654.62, charged to stock account unit 1172 and 1130 and 1172. The next one is Lakeland Automotive had a bill for $1,689.60 charged to all accounts. Lang Enterprises sold us delineators. We fixed them after snow plowing season, charged to a stock account for $2,781.02. MCC sold us some 3/4 inch gravel for $4,174.96. Northeast Asphalt had pulverized our County Highway S project, the section in front of the Marion Body Works up to Gilling Dental Office. That bill came in for $6,280 charged to our Highway S project. But all in all, that's also a 50-50 cost share with the city of Marion. So the city of Marion will end up getting the other half of that invoice. So maybe make a note of that one, Chris. The other one is road equipment for $1,862.75 charged to our stock account, small tools account, marketing and signings account, and shop supplies. Southside Tire sold us 4 tires for unit 126T for $8,600. Loader, that'd be one of our loaders. I believe 126T is a loader, so
Yes.
if you want to replace your loader tires, plan on $8,600. Stump Ford had an invoice for $1,771.28, and that got split between 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different squad cars. Team Outfitters had a bill for $3,304. A lot of that goes for purchasing the shirts for employees, where they are granted up to $35 per employee. Everything above and beyond that, the county doesn't pay for it. They pay for that out of their own pocket. We also ordered a name tag for our new foreman. It's nice going to professional meetings with a name tag on you. So Scott Zerble got a new name tag. Paca County Sheriff's Department, we paid them for their 2023 weight limit enforcement for $9,142.24. We just charged that to our county section number 2. Westwood Professional Services had their invoice for $12,110 for a survey reports right-of-way plat for the County Highway Double O project from E to 110. They're really, really close to starting to buy right-of-way on Double O right now. We just had to do a title. Initially, the county will do a title search. We'll hire like Knight and Berry or Gowie Abstract, Wapaka Title Company to do our title searches. It's doing a 60-year search on each property to make sure that we understand liens and is it deeded to the right person? Did a landowner pass away and they're still in the title? So that when we pay them, the money goes to the right place. And they just asked for their title updates, which is a common occurrence, which means that happens right before we go ahead and start making the right-of-way purchases. That includes everything $1,000 or more. So this, for this payment batch register, it's $250,547.11.
Any questions? We need a motion to approve $250,547.11.
Also move.
Motion by Lee Muck, second by Dick Strawn, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Just one question before we go on.
Yep.
On 45 garbage, when they do the roadside pickup.
Yep.
We do not pick that up anymore, or we do, or?
We do.
Okay,
So what happens is if you're on Adopt a Highway and you have an area that you sponsor, when you're done picking it up, you're to call the highway shop and we let our staff know to go pick it up. So if there is some,
well, there was some, the Clintonville end of it, towards the county shop there was some,
all right,
as I went by this week, and I just, but I thought the Lions said something that they picked their own garbage up, and I was just wondering if the policy, what it was, so.
yeah, the policy is if you gotta call us, we'll come pick it up and throw it away because half of our garbage refuse goes
Well, no,
towards the state.
yeah, I just didn't know, I wanted to verify that. Because I know the Lions, run here and those guys all. I thought they said they had Besson come along and pick it up, but
The Ogdensburg Airport crew was just picking a bunch up on Highway E and I'm driving a bunch of gentlemen that are picking up garbage. I mean, I'm like, you know what? I'm stopping and thanking them. So I stopped up and said, thank you for picking garbage on Highway E. They were ecstatic that someone recognized them. So
yeah.
the
Yeah,
more chances I get to do that, that means a lot.
Well, no,
Yeah.
'cause I know the Lions do it from Connecticut into Marion,
Okay.
And I don't know who does it from towards Clintonville, but there was bags on the road this week.
Okay.
And so I don't know if they got picked up or not. I would assume that, the guys coming to the Larrabee shop would have seen it, would just tell them to pick it
It
up.
might be picked up already.
Yeah, it probably is. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Earlier this week, we were paving up in Shawano County for them guys. So we were busy with that whole crew, but we'll get it if it is.
Well, yeah, I just didn't know if there was a difference in policy.
But if you don't get the call, you don't do it, right?
Well, no,
I mean,
If
you
we
don't
see
do
it,
it. If you see it, you do it, but.
yeah,
if we see it, we'll just grab it.
Right, but I mean,
They're supposed to let us know that it's ready for pickup.
yeah,
Because sometimes we'll send a guy and we'll go pick it up and they have a whole nother day of picking.
yeah,
yeah.
right.
It's out of convenience. If it's a rain day and you need something to do, sometimes you just go pick up the garbage.
Yeah, okay, well, that's fine.
We like picking it up because it doesn't get caught in our mowers then.
oh,
Yeah, yeah.
I'm assuming you pick up a lot of aluminum cans.
There's definitely a drunk drinking and driving problem in Wapaka County. There's definitely a problem with that.
And the plastic bottles you don't pick up. You heard that too.
Yeah.
Lou said,
Well, this year I didn't notice so much, but last year when I picked up along my fields on G, there was 3 of the biggest size vodka bottles you can get in the ditch. And, yeah, somebody going this stretch of road is an alcoholic.
Yeah. Jeez.
Yeah.
even in your town roads in front of my house, it's full of beer cans.
Like, I just wondering if people, just put it,
Put them in your garbage.
well, you go shopping, you use a bag and hey, put it in the bag and take it out of the
Right.
garbage and get out.
Right.
Yeah,
It's not like anybody's got a shortage of plastic shopping bags.
that's right.
Packer County Highway Department Service Agreement. So we also talked about that in finance. Go ahead.
Yeah, so we brought up the discussion of service agreements to the finance committee, making the finance committee as aware as they can be about the options of taking.
Demand from people that don't have plow trucks.
Yeah, the demand of other towns wanting our snow plowing services. And I can tell you what, only Dwayne Federowitz talked a little bit, but everyone was silent. I don't know if they didn't have input or they knew nothing about it, or they were first absorbing it, but there was no comments really back to us. We presented what we needed to present. So I put it on as an agenda item here to speak to the highway committee relatively to the same aspect. But then I want to go a little bit more in depth with highway committee. I want to go through our current service agreements of what we're looking at. And then I also want to look at decisions that we need to be making, yes or no, to take on additional customers. There's two different ways of,
I didn't get a good feeling there,
no.
and I don't know what you felt.
Well, I think, Dave, lives in I assume the city of New London. I don't know Murphy and those guys where they live, but unless you live out.
Got Falls Brothers.
Well, and if you don't live in the vicinities of where it's needed, I think it just went over their heads yesterday. You know, I don't think, it's like anything, if they don't plow in front of your house, you don't ever think about it, and I guess.
Jim, you're in a different situation. You live on the highway, and Gary Marks, he lives on a county road.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? I looked at when Pat couldn't get out about 4 or 5 years ago till Monday.
Yeah.
And when he called him, he says, well, then you just hire a truck to come in if you're on your own. Well, that isn't how it works when you got a primo baby at home. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then you look at it from the perspective of a town official that's responsible for getting your roads plowed and you have nobody.
Yeah,
So of course they're gonna come and ask us.
yeah.
I guess the more I think about this. And everybody respond. Nobody's ready to step up and say, buy more trucks and get set up and take care of everybody in the county. So my belief inside is saying, let's just have a backup plan. We have graders that are sitting, not being used. Do we have anybody that could run them if they had to go into the town of Iola, or if they had to go into a township to help them after we're done following our regular stuff? And do we have people? I know your plow truck drivers, once they get their 8 hours in, they're done. Is there any additional people in the county that could learn how to get in a truck or get in a grader and help out those townships
Mhm.
if it's a mess? And I don't want a service agreement with them, but let's say they call you up and say, hey, we got nobody to plow us and you're all done in Helvetia. Could we find someone
Yeah,
to go in there a day late and $1 short and help? I don't know,
And you bring up a good point with the service agreements because in Iola's case, they have been bidding everything out. And their people are used to that process. And we have to do our due diligence here when we're buying fuel or supplies, these bigger amounts. Okay, we call around, we get bids. So I had a nice talk with Mark Sprangers yesterday. He called me up and he can go either way, but the people he represents are used to them bidding everything, whether that's a chip sealing or road repairs. And so I got the impression that he's hesitant about how this is going to fly if we're just locked in with the county and they don't have the opportunity to bid stuff. So I feel comfortable that we would come in within reason of every other bid they would get. But he's got a job to try and sell this to people because they're all used to them bidding. And everybody's feeling comfortable while we're getting a good deal. Okay with it. And so that's part of his issue. But if we can get in with the snow plowing, like you say, that might lead to more work down the road.
if they don't have anybody to plow their roads and they can't find anybody. And we're not gonna add on a new truck and a new service agreement then. But let's say they called us up and you'd go in time and material like you do right now, how you charge a township.
right.
But it's not gonna be the first day of the snow when the school buses are running, and that's.
Yeah, I know Supervisor Federowitz says there's a lot of options for towns. They just need to look at all their options. He did make a comment that did make sense to me. Why don't 2 towns get together and buy a truck? But who gets that truck each snowstorm? And what if it snows for 5 days in a row?
And who drives the truck and who maintains the truck?
Who pays for it?
He's smug.
Well, it is an option, but it ain't gonna work.
See, like in Iola's case, what is it?
I mean, anything like that.
Somewhere around 50 miles. In Iola's case, 48, 50 miles of roads.
Yeah, town,
So times 2, both directions. And what do you figure for an average speed? 25 miles an hour,
30
30?
average.
And then you've got some dead time where one end road's on a county trunk and you're driving to the next one. So probably figure 4 hours, right? To do a town of Iola.
Most of our towns with one person is gonna take us 4.5 to 8 hours, depending on how much there is to move. When we did plow for the town of Iola, we would go in with 1 truck and 1 grader. The next snowstorm, a truck and a grader would go, but they'd flip around to push everything back on the road that didn't get it. So when we were.
We use a grader in every township each time?
No,
Okay.
no, just the village of Embarrass pretty much has.
So how many graders do we have sitting during a normal snowstorm right now?
5.
They're pretty much,
Okay, now my next question is. Would we have to charge the amount of the use of grader? And I know it's more than the big old trucks we have. Or is there any leeway there? Is there any Kentucky windage?
Right now, we charge the rate that the state gives us, and that's what's imputed into the CHEMS program. And in the CHEMS program right now, she's got upping it all the way up to 31% above the state rate. So
I mean, is that a dumb question I'm asking? You know what I'm
Is it the
saying?
state rate or the other rate?
we got
The
two
other rate
options.
right now is 31% higher than the state rate.
So we charge them, was it $136 an hour just for the grader?
well, I think
Because that's all we have sitting empty. That's why I'm asking that
Yeah.
question. But then the next question is, the people who runs the dump trucks are the same ones that run the graders?
Pretty much.
You know what I'm saying? Because
Because I push back the second day with a different guy and then that truck sits. I don't have the people. I think Helvetia right now, we could do it the following day with the grader, but I don't want to sign a service agreement and then.
no, I don't want to sign a service agreement. But
Yeah.
if they can't get somebody, they'd have to call you.
Yeah, and we come in the next day and open it up.
And I may be out to lunch when I'm saying, you know what I mean? Just.
Most of our guys
He's the
are,
boss. He knows what he's got.
our routes right now, if a guy comes to work to plow snow, average on a county route or a state route or a town route, they're usually starting at 3 a.m. They cuff it off, it starts to break daylight about 7:30, and then they make their second round, and by 11 o'clock on a normal snow event, they're done. So each route is about 6 to 8 hours normal. So if you're looking at plowing the town of Iola, you can't do one town and the next town in the same day, because you're looking at 16 hours to do 2 townships in one day with one guy. And that'll.
Well, you can't do that with one guy. That's why I'm just saying, is there anybody else that could get in that truck or into that grader?
Right.
That doesn't have a plow route or truck route, so that we can train to do it. You know what I'm saying? We gotta train people to do more stuff.
Our foremen don't have assigned plow routes, but them are the guys that are overseeing all the plowing on the state, on the county, and the townships that they're,
Your mechanics don't go.
And in your shop, people could do any of that?
Yeah, we got 2 of them that go and plow right now. They have routes. Scott Olson goes and plows, and then Jared Estrada will go and plow. And then the mechanics then are opening up all of the yards with the loaders and feeding trucks. And the other mechanics are there to fix the trucks that are breaking down.
Yeah,
So the biggest one would be foremans that would be able to have an assigned plow route. But I don't know, you've been in the foreman position and you got 12, 13 guys in your shop that are plowing, and you're there to help them run stuff to them, make sure the paperwork's getting taken care of during the day. If you have a plow route, that goes away.
You're fixing a lot of little things.
And without having shop foreman anymore, which we used to have a foreman for the field and a foreman for the shop out of each facility. Now we don't have 2 foremen in each shop. We just have the 1 foreman who does both, helping fix cutting edges and stuff. So taking the foreman and assigning him to an absolute, that's your plow route, it's going to be a little difficult. That would be my only option, where I have licensed CDL operators that would be good, that could go and plow. We could get it done, but it may not be the priority.
No, I'm just thinking worst case scenario, they don't have anybody. Now here comes winter,
so far from what he told me yesterday, they don't have
but
anybody.
we can't make a commitment. We're guaranteeing we're taking care of them. We're gonna take care of them when our other stuff is done. With people
Yeah.
that are safe safe to get in a truck or get in a grader.
Right.
In other words, they've got their sleep in and everything. We don't want that.
Do we have any extra trucks that we could use if we get some of the old retired guys? Get Dick out of bed once in a while, want to know.
This year we
Do we
have 2 spare trucks. This is the first year we've had spare trucks.
Okay.
So in the past, our shops did not have that. And when a truck broke down, they jumped in the spare truck to plow the state road and the county road. So if we assign it to a town, we have no spare trucks when the state or the county routes break.
And then we'd have to work hard to figure out whether we can use retired people against all the union rules and state rules and all
Like,
that.
have to be a
also
county
retirement fund
employee.
Too, that plays into that.
Yeah, yeah.
It'd have to be a county
It
employee.
can affect the retirement big time if they have been out for a while.
They're called casual call employees. Just randomly need them when you need them.
Yeah,
How many people work in the Parks Department?
Five, six, five, well, five. John and Ann and his 3 staff. I think I haven't been on the parks.
Once was brought up once if they could get some of them people to help if something ended up being,
Yeah, that's interesting.
But they're all plowing,
we talked about it once, but
There it
it
is.
kind of fell on deaf ears because,
Mhm.
you know, nobody wants to change what they're doing, you know? I don't know. You got 5 guys working there, you can only grease so many trucks and pickups and lawnmowers.
Yeah, mowing lawn in the winter.
but there are 2 office people, there's only 3 really workers.
Well, 3 is 3.
yeah.
Yeah, if one of them
But
has
I don't
got a
think they've ever been
CDL,
there, I don't think they've ever been there big snowballs either. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah,
Yeah, it's-
but there's something to, check out.
Yeah, Shawano County would take the Parks Department employees and they would hire them during the winter over at the Highway Department. Not to run the trucks, but to monitor the radios, run sections called a night watchman. They kept that employee busy year round.
you know, when you say that, that might be a little budget help for parks too, then if we can share an employee part of the
Well, you know,
time.
they're taking care of that fairgrounds too, that's run all winter long, that thing's being used too.
Sure.
But I mean, I'm just saying, there's some other things there.
And they also got cross-country ski routes and stuff like that in the wintertime that they groom and
They're
such.
doing stuff.
Yeah.
You know, not defending them or anything, but I just know they do have some things that they
Yeah.
do in the wintertime, but
And I would say during the last couple of years, it was tough to find an employee to even think about the commitment, but over the last 6 months to last year, we're at full staff. We're fortunate. We're finding people applying to work. So if we increased our numbers, 1, to service an additional town, it leads into another whole topic that I wanted to discuss. What are we charging for service agreements? And so I've created some situations or some options, and it's all good knowledge. I'll have it up on the board, but I'll pass it around as well. So just kind of giving another history of where we're at. Chris, you had that first one up on the amount of dollars. Yep, GTA. So the general transportation aids issued to our municipalities. Town of Bear Creek receives 105,000, Town of Caledonia and so forth. Dayton, here's the numbers that they receive from the state for general transportation aids. And it's not a lot, and it looks like in the future that the
This is the same as that, is it?
no, that's a whole different we'll get to that one. So just out of curiosity, our service customers, you can kind of see how much they receive for general transportation aids. Any additional work that they spend with us is tax levy money or ATC money or other monies that they get to fix and
Why
do
is
the
there such a
roads.
difference in some of that?
Road miles.
Miles.
Like
Yeah.
amount per lane mile, yes.
Farmington has a lot more road miles than down at DuPont and. Yeah, I'm just
Yeah,
asking that question, you know.
yeah.
I think a portion of it may also be population based, a small portion of
There's
it
a lot of people there, I know that.
throws in population into it as well. So let's close that one and let's go into the next discussion, which is all part of the discussion. I created 4 scenarios. Let's go into the top one first, and Chris has it on the board. So the first one is an example, a situation, not a situation, but this is where we're currently at. Right now, we have service agreements with all of these townships. This is the amount of lane miles that each one of them has. The average amount of money that each one of these towns has spent with Wapaka County Highway Department over the last 3 years is in this column. You can see some of them are really, really high. Town of Dayton over the last 3 years has spent $354,000 average per year with us. Then you go into the town of Wapaka, they've been spending an average of $63,000 a year with us. We got these huge swings where you got a lot or you don't got a lot. I know that the town of Wapaka is low only because over the last 3 years, they've received grant money or LRIP money. And so those type of projects, they have to farm out. So therefore, they were spending money on roads. They just weren't spending it with Wapaka County because they received LRIP money. So I think every year you're gonna have 1 or 2 townships that just drop low because they're receiving LRIP grants elsewhere. It doesn't help our operations because we don't get to perform the work. Ultimately, it hurts our operations. And so I thought to myself, let's throw 4 examples, and what I show on the board, I'm gonna get to over here. With that, I'm gonna walk over here. This first scenario. Our townships, taking all of our townships, throwing out the 3 low and the 3 high, on average, our townships are right now spending an average of $4,301.69 per lane mile with our department. That's really good. We're only currently asking for $1,000 a lane mile. Right now, if we went and asked them for $4,000 a lane mile, they're gonna look at me and say, what the heck is going on? And I'm gonna say, you're already average spending that. So why are our service agreements so low? That's using all costs. That includes everything from labor, fringe benefits, the materials of asphalt, buying culverts, guardrails, all that. So really, we could be charging them $4,301 and they won't have a problem. There would be no change. Then I thought, well, if we wanted to continue with a service agreement, just saying everything's included, maybe we say for a possible lane mile service agreement, we charge them $4,000. But does that really help us? The next scenario
We're
was
still getting the money already, so whether it's as 1,000 or 4,000, they're spending that with you.
they're spending it with us. Then scenario 2, what if we took all the costs of everything that they spend with us and we exclude all winter work? So on average, currently right now, they're spending $3,432.64 average. Minus the top 3 and minus the bottom 3. I took the highs and lows out because sometimes you have weird averages. Right now, if we charge them $3,000 a lane mile, the majority of them would be beating that already. This is what they're currently spending with us. So if we excluded winter, boom, and made it $3,000 a lane mile, none of them would suffer at all. If we made a service agreement that says we're gonna account the labor of our employees plus the fringe benefit of our employees, include small tools, the cost of our equipment, include winter snow plowing, and get rid of the materials which we have been including in service agreement, like what they paid for the price of asphalt, the price of gravel. Maybe they might come in here and buy a bunch of culverts from us or guardrail and install them themselves or hire a private contractor. If we excluded material out of the situation, these same townships are spending on an average of $2,312.53 with us. So we could charge a $2,000 per lane mile. And so that includes everything, including winter, minus material, because for material, that's just money in, money out. We do one paving project.
We don't make anything.
We don't make nothing on it. We just handle the material, yet the towns are using it to count towards their service agreement in our current situation. Then I took it right to the max and I'm like, all right, let's go a service agreement where they pay for our labor, the fringe benefit of the work performed, small tools for our equipment. We exclude winter and we exclude materials. If we exclude winter and materials, on average right now, they're still spending $1,510.23 with us. And we're only charging them $1,000 per lane mile. So these are like the 4 scenarios of how we maybe could rewrite our service agreements. My key thing is, if you're gonna have us for snow plowing, you better be able to help cover our employees' labor and the cost of having the truck. So excluding materials, sometimes you can spend $200,000 in 2 days in materials. And if they're using it to account towards their service agreement, then they don't have to hire us for the rest of the year, which kind of sucks. But if we exclude winter and materials, and we can still keep charging them $1,000 per lane mile and just say, all right, we want to exclude type of work 071, which is in our accounts, and materials, and they would still be good. So I could rewrite the service agreements to have any one of these. It wouldn't hold any of the towns liable or hostage. and we'd still be good. But under our current scenario, our service agreement really could be $4,000 per lane mile and not one township would suffer. Not
Well, to
one.
explain that to them, they'd never comprehend.
They wouldn't comprehend it. No, it's a lot to comprehend. If I walked up to the town of Bear Creek, specifically new clerk or the new supervisors and said, hey, we're gonna change our service agreements to $4,000 a lane mile and just keep acting the way we were. They wouldn't understand that, but they'd still be perfectly fine. So I just kind of wanted to share what they currently are spending. Maybe we continue all material, all winter, all labor, all fringe. You could adjust it.
I like your bottom one the best.
So this is the bottom one.
Anything, just taking out the winter.
Because what it does is it ties them to trying to find summer work for us. They don't have to necessarily spend it a lot. They're already spending 1,510. So this is kind of the three scenarios. The first one I have up on here, this screen shows scenario one.
Sorry.
Oh, this is the one that you're kind of thinking. So this is the scenario of, we'll use the town of Bear Creek. So the town of Bear Creek, right now, I've organized it to say, in the bottom scenario, what are they spending average with us over their 3 years? So each year, the village of Ogdensburg is spending on average $241.58 with our department, but they only have 2.5 lane miles. So if you only have so many lane miles, they're pretty much would meet it with the $1,000 per service mile. You look at the town of Wapaka, we've really been hurt by LRIP projects because they hire it out. So right now, the town of Wapaka on average is spending $13,893 with our department. That's not a lot to have us.
Supporting us.
They're not supporting us.
Problem.
The town of Wapaka is not supporting us over the last 3 years. Now, they may not receive LRIP and grants, but it's really hurting us. We're subsidizing. Then you get into some of those that are really, really supporting us, and you got to look at the town of Caledonia. $177,556 average over the last 3 summers. That excludes all materials, that excludes all winter. That's what they're paying to keep our employees busy and moving just for labor and equipment. So right now, if we signed a service agreement with them for $4,659 a lane mile, they'd be perfectly fine because that's what they're already doing. But it just sounds a lot because we've had it at $1,000 per lane mile since 2002. We can go back and look at that. 2002, we were still asking for $1,000 a lane mile. So
21 years ago.
21,
No inflation.
and we never inflated the service agreement amount. So when I give presentations to the highway committee about how the town of Bear Creek has met their service agreement by 389% or whatever it may be, it's just so astronomically off because they're spending way more than we're even asking. And I think in a little bit of a way that's kind of hurt us for the 1 or 2 scenarios each year that we compare it to, like the towns of Wapaka. So if we rewrote our service agreements with our current customers to say, we're going to keep charging you $1,000 per lane mile, we're going to exclude materials and exclude winter. That's up to
That's
them.
what I would do.
That's up to them to say what they want to do. They already are well meeting that. Bear Creek, for instance, you're already, you're not with the town of Bear Creek anymore, but you live there. You're already spending an average of $1,094 with us for the last 3 years. There'd be no change. It's just that our service agreements catch up to what's going on. Yep. Every one of them, except maybe that town of Wapaka would be under right now if I asked for $1,000 per mile service agreement. But they're not going to receive LRIP grant funds every year either. And that gets distributed to different
There's been quite
towns.
a change in
Yeah,
people running it too.
every scenario that I ran, 1, 2, 3, and 4, it's always shown the village of Ogdensburg and the town of Wapaka being low. They're the ones right now that would kind of red flagging it for us. You know,
And like you say, the town of Wapaka, that's probably a temporary situation. Because they aren't gonna have projects that qualify for LRIP every round.
What I absolutely do not want to do is to have a really, really harsh winter for them towns. And they spent a lot of money on snow plowing and they're out of funds. And say, all right, we're gonna break our tie with you because you had a harsh winter.
Right,
That's tough to do.
yeah,
By excluding winter, that holds them to it, saying, hey, we still have to
We
keep
still
up.
have to keep our employees on.
Still have to keep our employees on because we need them during the summer too.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just thought about bringing that up as a discussion point today. It's important to rewrite a government contract. But something needs to get done different than just asking for all costs, including materials and winter and everything for $1,000 per lane mile. So
You want a recommendation from us?
one more bit of information for the group is we only have 2 service agreements due in 2024. And I think they're like the town of Fremont and the village of Ogdensburg. In 2025 or December 31st of 2024, going into 2025, we have 10 service agreements due. So right now, for us to make a change to our current contract would probably be not wise because
I'm thinking it would be because it's minimum and you can say, well, this started last year.
so we
I
have.
don't know.
We currently have contracts with these towns for 3-year or 5-year service agreements. If I'm gonna go into the middle of one of those contracts and try to rewrite it,
Oh, I wouldn't. As they come due is what I-
and I got 10 of them coming due in 2 years from now,
So
so
we got 2 due right now, right?
coming up here in 2024. Yeah,
I think I would do the 2 right away.
do them 2 right away.
Oh, you guys still react, but
yeah, as they come due.
So we've
that's
got
right, as they come due.
as they renew our.
Excludes winter and excludes material. That means I'm expecting you to keep my labor.
And you can justify that by saying, I need to keep my employees working in the summer to continue to maintain your work. That's your
The
justification.
service agreement tells the story. There may be some that are worried about, oh my God, what's going on? I have all the data to say you've been already doing that. But I want to hold you to at least hiring us, because right now we're getting townships that are coming in here, buying culvert pipes, buying materials for another contractor to do work in towns that we have service agreements with. Right now, we're bidding on work paving wise, gravel wise, ditching wise against contractors, and we have the winter snow plowing agreement with them. We're not able to bid. We provide the estimate, but still, what are we doing wrong?
Why are we selling culverts in that 2 townships? For some other contractor? I'm just,
Right? Why are we even doing that?
because
Right now,
their contractor should go out and buy it someplace if they're gonna do
Correct.
business with somebody else.
Sometimes it's due to, let's just pick on the town of Harrison, who we do not have a service agreement with. They deal with Lashaway all the time. Lashaway gets all their culvert pipes from us for the most part. They should go buy their own, because what it does is we have to order it, we have to bid it, we have to stock it.
You
It's a much
stock
better
it,
buy
you're
for you.
sitting on inventory, right?
We do put a 10% stocking fee on all of our materials. But I don't know exactly how to figure out the cost of handling, unloading it, having Larry bid it out, Mark put it in the paper. I don't have all them costs on the top of my head, so.
Do you get
And plus
any,
what you order, you're gonna use. You're not planning on selling it.
do you get any discount for a bigger volume order or not really?
We will get it, yeah, when we bid it out, they want it
So you got people bidding on the whole package.
So the bigger the package, the better the deal.
always, and yep, so when we go into the bid season in the end of February or mid-February, we already should be knowing what culvert pipes we need on these projects, and it's easy to do when we have a set of blueprints and plans. Hence, that the engineering part helps us out a lot with being able to bid stuff earlier, so we can say, yep, we got, 26, 15-inch culvert pipes. And then that company that's gonna supply us with those culvert pipes can consider that. Because
Sharpen their pencil.
whenever they deliver stuff to us, the cost of trucking, they want to have a full load when they bring it here or deliver it to a construction project. They don't want to bring 1 pipe or 2 pipes. They can, but that comes with a healthy expense. So, yeah, a recommendation from the committee. Each one of these service agreements, we're going to review when one comes due. But with this knowledge, I think it's going to only make it. The service agreement is going to say you need to hire us during the summer. We're not going to include a $200,000 paving project to count towards a 5-year average of what you've spent in a service agreement and say you're good, but yet you've never hired our employee to stay busy but 2 days. That don't make sense.
Go on, in the meeting yesterday, you said the different townships and villages that have contacted you more about service agreements, and it wasn't just Iola. You know?
No, since I've been here over the last 5 years, I sat down with the Village of Scandinavia. And we were ready to take them on, but then they found some employees for Lashway to plow from, so we said, all right, no. So, I'm sorry, Town of Scandinavia, we already plowed the Village of Scandinavia. So the Town of Scandinavia, the Town of Iola. Dean Lashaway is the chair for the Town of Harrison. He's approached me. They got nervous when Lashaway said they were gonna stop doing it anymore. Previous town supervisor for the Town of Farmington asked in conversation, it wasn't a formal meeting, but he's like, what would it take for you to plow for us?
That was before Carolyn Murphy.
No, the gentleman that passed away recently.
Oh, Mark Jensen.
Mark Jensen had conversations with me about it. Al Tank from the Town of Lebanon has talked to me about it. Town of Helvetia Board now wants to have conversations to get us back. And it's hard for us to play flip flop of now you need us 1 year and then you don't need us the next year based off of who you're trying to
Well,
support.
it's because of change in
Politics.
Price isn't in charge anymore. Jeff Hopper.
So right now, and you just don't go into the Town of Iola and try to provide a level of service that's equal to our county trunk system. You need 2 vehicles to service that town. There's so many dead ends, there's so many turnarounds, so many cul-de-sacs that you just don't accomplish 40 miles just like that. It's slow and it takes tedious time in the Town of Iola. And you just don't sign a contract with one person in the Town of Iola. You're signing it with another 5,000 people that are there to pitch and complain, and you go back and fix their yards and say, why did you do a bad job?
That's why they're trying to pass it to you, because that's what's happening.
That's what they're trying to pass on.
I think with the service agreements, I think as they come due right now, write them way you would like to have the new ones do. I wouldn't bother rewriting any existing ones, just
You
up
break your contract.
right. You don't want to do that. Just as the ones that are coming due. And now is probably a good time to do it because there's only 2. And so you kind of break the ice and then next year when there's a slug of them, then
They're meeting it.
yeah.
When does Town of Packer do?
They don't have it with me, sorry.
Next year, maybe. Could be one of the 10 or the 4.
Yep. See, all right, we'll continue signing $1,000 per lane mile,
I think they're 2005
Um,
or 25.
but that excludes winter maintenance and excludes materials.
That's how I would do your next 2. If you need a motion from us on this, we'll.
Yeah. I would like that so that I can move forward. I'll have Sue rewrite a draft of it.
So if we exclude the winter maintenance or.
And equipment,
Okay, so,
The materials.
Materials and
so how we gonna,
That's what I have here on the board.
so how do we charge then for plowing? I mean,
We'll still charge them
Same rate as we-
for everything, but the labor and equipment would be the part that's held to the state, to the service agreement. I can track all of that separately.
yeah, like,
They'll still be billed out as.
so then how close, I mean, if we just charge for winter plowing. How close are we to getting,
I find that on here.
So if we,
I mean, I'm trying to understand this, we're, the material is in these numbers up there, right?
Not in.
And not in that one.
Not showing here.
That's just only plowing?
This is not
That's
plowing.
that's
This is
labor.
the
There's
company.
no floor up
Yeah,
there and
yeah.
equipment, some
Yeah.
work.
So. I'm just trying to figure out how much, if you're gonna plow 40 miles, how much does that cost? In per, is it? Per episode, you got charged for every episode, so you've
she's got that all calculated.
10 times, if you've plowed 10 times, that times 40, well, Lake Bear Creek, 40 miles, how much money does that come? And, how much do you have in your budget for that? I'm trying to figure this out in my head here a little bit.
Which town are you looking at?
Well, say with Dick's there, Town of Bear Creek, you get 40 miles, you plow it how many times? You know,
So there's
each time you plow it, say you plow it 10 times, you know, how much does that come up with?
the last 3 years for winter work for town of Bear Creek. 15,398, 15,148, and 19,381.
To me, that's not very much money, you know.
Their summer work for those same years is $129,005, $146,201, and then 67,630.
Yeah, because you put a truck and a man and you put per hour on there, 40 miles, and how many hours it takes. We're losing our butt and trying to recoup the expenses. You know, and that's where, to me, we gotta somehow come up with a plowing rate that
That's
gets a lot closer to what our costs are, but I don't know how you do that.
that's where I think number 4 is a good way to do it. The service agreement does not include the snow plowing, so that when you do the snow plowing, you can charge
Their actual charge.
the actual rate.
Yeah.
And that's what what that is.
That's what.
Did I understand that right?
That would make sense. They're still spending $1,500 anyway. So
Yeah.
they would all meet their service agreements, but it holds them to spending money with us during the summer.
Or during the off, not snow plowing time.
Right. Town of Muckwa, for instance, had some real mild winters a couple years ago, and we didn't hardly work in the town of Muckwa that one winter. And then summer came along and they hired everyone else to do their work during the summer. So that's what I want to prevent. That really hurt us in Muckwa's half.
Well, they want you to do the other half now too, right?
They bought their own plow truck.
They did
now.
not.
Yeah. And it's sitting back here broke down, asking for us to fix it.
Yeah. Mhm.
And when we are, it's back here and we're trying to fix it.
No, it's
But you don't make any
complicated.
money on it.
It just keeps a mechanic busy because he's chargeable time and materials. So for the town of Muckwa, they had a sensor that went out on it and it didn't control the hydraulics, the spinners, all the stuff in the back. We ordered a new electronic module for it. It came in, it was too new of a module. We had to send it back and then get the older module, which fit. That made the hydraulics work, but now the truck doesn't want to start. So
They're gonna find out the joys of owning a truck.
What's the warranty on it after you're done? Are you responsible if it doesn't hold together? I mean, you know what I'm saying?
yeah, that's
When
a
you're doing outside work like that.
Caledonia's mentality is they don't even want to own a shovel. They want to, when they got something that needs to happen, they're gonna call in Wapaka County to do it. Because they don't have no overhead, no garages, no responsibility of storing it or keep it upkeep. That's their mentality. I love it.
They're smart.
They're smart.
I think so.
Yeah, Supervisor Federwitz mentioned it to my supervisors as they went around on their spring road tour here on Monday. He's like, right now, we want nice roads in our town, so we tax our constituents for that. He compared himself to Bear Creek, which you've probably heard in the past. He's like, if Bear Creek wants to spend more on their roads, then they got to make some changes. I don't know if the
And he
town,
believes that on every township and village. I've heard him
Yeah.
say.
he says that. He's like, why does the town of Bear Creek pay for all the garbage pickup for the residents? Let them pay for it. And then Bear Creek essentially can apply their money towards their roads instead of paying for people's refuge. I'm like, all right, you know all the details. That was their decision.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Need a motion to have Casey do the future contracts with number 4, right?
Yeah, that's all I need to do
I'll make that
is
a motion.
talk about it for 4 years.
Service agreement formula update, number 4.
You.
I guess I'll be seconded. I just know.
You got any questions? Go ahead before you do it.
Money.
What's that?
Right,
But you're
We
already
have a
meeting.
bad winter,
Yeah.
we just don't spend it in the summertime.
Right, because you don't
There's
have
only
it.
so much money, and you got fire trucks in Clintonville, they're gonna get a new fire truck. And we're gonna pay for that, so that's $100,000. And then you got town of Bear Creek or the village of Bear Creek, their fire department, they just ordered one of $3 million. And we're gonna end up paying for that. And there's just so many pieces of the pie, you know?
Right.
Yeah,
I'm looking at it that with this formula for this agreement, it's a guideline. And we all know the weather's unpredictable. And if it's a lot of snow plowing, you know, we'll move on and work through it, but just, it's kind of good to know going into it. Because everybody will be in the same boat.
Here's got a comment.
The service agreements are for 3 or 5 years and they are committed to 1,000 miles per, or $1,000 per lane mile. For 5 years. So you figure out what that total is for 5 years. Some years they spend a lot, some years they don't, but at the end of that 5 years is when they should meet that
Average. And
1,000.
we've gotten away from 3-year service agreements now. There are
Right.
No more.
And we've never had a situation where they didn't make it that we had to say, hey,
No.
you owe us this amount of money.
So if they're a little bit low one year, they make it up the next year or whatever. It's at the end of that agreement that we look at it to see.
It's the
if
length of
they've
the
met
agreement,
that.
which we look at,
Yes.
not the annual.
But if if they've already met every year for the last 3 years. And we don't change the per mile, where are we gonna gain?
You're excluding winter and you're excluding materials if you keep it at 1,000. So materials, like,
So we're gonna gain by plowing
So
because we're gonna take additional income.
We can charge the actual rate because the snow plowing is not included in the formula for the service agreement.
It's encouraging people to use us in the summer.
we're not gonna generate any more revenue.
Well, I'm just trying to,
And then if the rate
Slide
of
the
snowfall goes
shoe.
up, it doesn't tie into that so much.
It's just gonna help that when I give you a presentation that says how close did they come to their service agreement, it'll be ballpark. They're still gonna be fine, but it isn't gonna show that the town of Caledonia exceeded it 697% of their service agreements. And it's gonna hold us right now for us being more competitive for projects during the summer. Right now, I have 15 employees that plow for the townships, 15 delegated $60,000 employees. That's $900,000. Right now, the towns last year in labor only paid 14% of our wages for those 15 people. So you know what? We're paying for it out of our own county highway department budget to keep those guys on hand in case it snows. I don't want it in case it snows. I want it to include also during the summer months.
No, I understand that part, but
And that's where we got our hands slapped. Right now, our finance director has mentioned to me multiple times, you're losing your ass because you service so many towns.
yeah.
Look at it. I'm like, well,
And I made the comment yesterday
Yeah.
that Black County had, my guy retired in the 70s from there. They didn't do it since the 70s when he first started, you know what I mean? And then you look at Portage County doesn't do any townships.
You know, when I went, asked for more money a couple months ago, you know, and she said, Lee, instead of buying 6 trucks, you can lease 6 trucks in the summertime to haul, product. That'd be a lot cheaper than owning them and then plow, when it snows, so.
Yeah.
It's, that's.
you can lease dump trucks. You can't lease plow trucks.
Right, yeah, no, that I understand, yeah. But that way, if you didn't have the contracts to plow snow, you would change the.
About 3 or 5 years ago, when we had the tremendous storm, you know which one I'm talking about.
5 years ago,
Late April.
2018,
You went out and did help some townships.
we did Scandinavia.
Last we couldn't get through, right?
He had breakdowns, right?
He was using farm tractors to plow the highways and we helped them out, but it was the next day.
And then you build them, I'm assuming just like you build the townships, just like you build.
Time and materials.
Right.
Yeah, we
And-
don't mark
And
anything.
all I'm saying is that could be available this next year if these people don't get anybody. And it might not be to their convenience when they get us. If you got people that can run that equipment. When you said you got, 15 guys that.
15 delegated ones. And then when our county,
Is there any others that could be trained or delegated to the backup plan? You don't have to answer that right now, but just so you're thinking that way.
They have to have a CDL for one thing. You can't jump in the truck unless you have a CDL.
Hire a lot of CDL, right?
most of them, all our guys have CDLs.
And we're not hiring anybody without CDLs right now.
Well, yeah.
And then during the nighttime, we were required to provide 24-hour services to US 10 and US 45. So some of the guys that plow regularly on Highway 10 go home Then our other guys, these foremen and these mechanics, they're filling in on Highway ten, doing the night shift because we were only staffed for one shift, but required to provide 2 shifts during the major snow events. And that's a lot. So our fill-ins do help. And you got people that are sick, some take vacation. Right now we allow up to 5 employees during the winter to take off at any given time. That's where all of them spare people fill in and take over for the main flower. There really are no spare people sitting. With
Chris doesn't want to blow dry.
43 people at one time on a big snow event are pushing snow in this county at one time.
Yeah.
I got 73 people.
We got 69 with one less mechanic. Got 5 maintenance. You got Kyle, me, Greg, Hank, Chris, Sue, Amy, Larry, Jan, the custodian. So there's 10 right off the top that are admin.
Right.
And you got the mechanics that have to stay in the shop and fix the trucks as they break down to get them back out.
Yeah.
It's quite the
And
operation.
that real bad one. Back then, I remember Bob, who was in town of Dayton at the time.
Bob Ellis.
Yeah. He called me, Joe. He said, it's like 4 o'clock in the afternoon on Saturday and nothing's done it there. He says, I'll get back to you. And either I called you or I called somebody in the shop and they just said, hey, we've got so many breakdowns that John will be in there in about 3 hours. And I called him back and he thanked me because he didn't know what was going on and his phone was ringing off the hook.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, we had a lot of trucks stuck and other.
Yeah, that just broke down, but stuck.
Yeah.
You ever get stuck when you were plowing?
Oh, yeah.
We provide a high level of service. Everyone wants it, but it comes with the cost.
I'm not convinced we've had the snow that we had in the late 60s and early 70s when I used to snowmobile.
Not for totals.
I mean, you see the banks, I
Right.
mean, and the wind, and I don't think we've had nothing like that.
No.
I just got an email from the state that said right now we're at such a budget crunch and don't have enough money to allow you to do anything you want in the state system. We're regulating what you do. In fact, it's only got to be safety oriented on the state system because we've overspent on our winter maintenance budget.
Right?
So now guess what? Them 13 state employees we have are all absorbed again on our county system.
But yet we got a $3 billion state surplus. You know, trying to figure out how to get rid of the $3 billion. And that part of it is like always, it's how you read the books, you know. You can make it look good or you can make it look bad, but
The reason that they are under budget is because they don't budget enough
yeah, well, yeah.
for this type of service.
Yeah.
We've got more money the last couple of years from the state than we ever got, and it's looking good right now, but you know.
It's still the state.
Money was given
revenue
down highway departments, you know, there's no changes in 10 years' time. Or more, I forgot the numbers. We've got a motion by Jim Nygaard, second by Dick Rowland, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Casey. You're gonna be a busy guy.
We've got a strong department, strong highway committee, strong that group, so.
Moving on. Oversized, overweight permit fees.
All right, currently, if we have an oversized, now this is a bad description, so you're gonna have to listen to me talk. I'll pass this. I mean, this is the same stuff. But right now, we charge $50 for an oversized overweight permit fee for someone to run beyond state regulation on our county trunk system. It works for us. I want people to move their product back and forth. I don't have any issues with the price that we charge. Some counties charge $100, some are $250. We're not going to get rich over increasing our fees. It might deter some of them from trying to do it more often, which leads into the next discussion. So Great Lakes Veneer, the Marion Plywood Corporation, contacted myself. That's what you're kind of seeing on that spreadsheet, is they have a permit to use a 10-axle log truck to drive down Highway 45 from the Michigan border all the way past the city of Marion and into the city of New London to deliver logs. And then the state permits it. That's what you're seeing. They charge about $136 for a 3-month period for them to use US Highway 45 for this 10-axle log truck. It's oversized and overweight. It's 145,000 pounds. So Great Lakes Veneer said, hey, these big log trucks are going right by our log yard in Marion. Can we go ahead and permit, as a county, can we go ahead and permit that now to travel on our Highway S and into the Marion log yard? It'll save them trucking costs per log, because more logs on a truck makes sense for them. And so, the shipping coordinator, Mark O'Connell, and I have been talking, and I said, yes, if you have 10 axles on a truck, it distributes the weight decently. I'll permit that if you have 10 axles. How many trucks do you run in a given year? He said, well, 1, 2 a week. I don't want our office crew nor Mark O'Connell to track 2 trucks per week that we collect $50 every single week. So what I'm asking is, I'm going to ask Great Lakes Veneer, you keep track of the amount of trucks that you come in on our County Highway S to that log yard. And at the end of the year, you tell us how many trucks you had, and then we'll charge you $50 per truck. Say you had 100 trucks, 2 a year for 50 weeks. We'll charge you $5,000 for that permit. Versus doing it every single time. It seemed to make more sense to me. Than every week having to charge them $50. But that's indifferent what we have been doing in the past, because when someone wants to travel oversized, overweight, typically what happens is they do it sporadically. Once every 3 months, I might get a permit. Now we're going to get a scenario where they want to do it every twice a week.
And the spring load limits would
What happens
apply.
then?
Yeah,
And spring weight limits would apply. You have to post it.
yeah.
But at the same point that Highway S supports Great Lakes Veneers shipping, the Marion Body Works is shipping, Coal Interstate shipping, it's a trucking corridor.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we probably don't want a spring weight limit posted if right now we're building it to a standard that it can hold the weight.
Good.
But I just wanted to share that discussion with you, that I'm gonna ask the Great Lakes Veneer, give them permission to haul with a 10 axle truck at 145,000 pounds, averaging roughly 9 ton per axle on their, in the middle, 6.5 ton on their rear. That kind of meets our spring weight limit protocols already. They're distributing the weight. State permitted it, will permit it, but I don't want to charge them $50 every single week where I have to be responsible for issuing them a permit before they truck twice a week, because I got vacations, I'm not around, Sue's not around, we might miss one. So
Yeah.
good company, we need to support our companies and our business to get their product in and out. That's what helps run us. So I wanted to have that discussion with you. Or the other discussion is, do we want to be closer to Shawano County with $100 fee?
Now, the ones that go into New London, are they paying $50 every trip?
Typically, no, because they're just taking US 45 and then they're jumping on the business routes.
They're getting on a county trunk.
They're not getting on a county trunk system. We do have one coming in and out of Waiwega that uses County Highway U a lot, so that they don't have to run Kittywampus through 49 and Fremont. So I issue one there quite frequently, but for the most part, this is my first major one where they want to run all the time, every day. And they're gonna probably put more damage on that road than any other trucking company because they are overweight, but if someone calls me, I'm gonna say, hey, they got 10 axles and they're distributing their weight. I gotta support this business.
So if you collected $5,000 a year, we're saying 100 times 50,
Yep,
2 times a week. Okay. Is that going to take care of what you believe wear
damages.
and
to
tear on
the-
that road is going to be?
I would go over 10 years, that would be $50,000, and over 30 years, that would be $150,000. Really, $150,000 to help cover the expenses of replacing the road every 30 years is a big chunk of it.
Or what's it, but 30 years from now, it's
Yeah.
the way everything's went up.
Where I see,
I don't have any problem either way.
yeah,
I mean,
more
it's,
wear and tear with all those axles down is where they're turning, making a sharp turn. That's just my thinking. You know, you go out west and you see big trucks all the time. And I'm seeing milk tankers now. They're not just tandem, they're triaxle on a semi trailer.
Yeah.
Not all of them, but
Yeah.
quite a few of the new ones are. And it is a trend. I get it because they're having a hard time hiring drivers too. And so if that driver hauls another 20% more each trip, it helps them get their product delivered. I'm okay with it as long as you
Yeah.
follow the spring. free straw cutoffs. Yeah.
We'll do it, spring weight limits, we're not allowing oversized overweight during the spring,
Yeah.
too vulnerable.
It's just, I do see more. Well, you see the wheel track compaction in the lane and you also see where they're making a sharp turn and all those axles are down.
Our county trunk system fortunately benefited by not having milk trucks go back and forth to farms every day. So that's one less thing that you see on our county trunk system compared to what it used to be.
Right.
So to have logs come.
When you look at 110 from Wyega to the crossings, and that's all that heavy stuff, it just
They should have fixed it.
never ends, right? And I don't know what's gonna happen when the state does do that in a couple of years, but hopefully
Mhm.
they'll do it right, because that really gets pounded, you know that, it really gets pounded.
It was perfect this
So when I
morning.
get into the spring now.
Your 110 was perfect this morning. huh?
Yes, I only hit 40,000 bumps.
So I don't need a motion or anything. I just need to reach back out to them, but I wanted that discussion. So if you get a call, why do they get to run 10 axles?
Yep.
On S, you understand why,
Yeah.
what we're doing.
As long as you're satisfied with the fee, I think that the fee is, I got no problem with, I don't know the economics of.
So are those same cars coming through Shawano County when you say they charge 100 instead of 50?
No, they're just running US 45 down through Anago. They're staying on all the US highways. And the state has to permit them. And that's what this is a copy of this, an example of the state permit that they're using.
That's only a mile, 2 miles into the.
2 miles into the veneer.
And that's a yearly permit.
Every year we need to renew it. So
Okay, so then you, after a year of doing it, you can see what damage it's done, or if it hasn't.
whether I want to permit it or not.
That's right, I just,
And I think you can trust them as far as the number going in and out of there.
The dollar amount won't affect them.
No.
Not that organization.
No.
But if we said.
they can have an invoice for each, when they do it.
Like, yeah.
I had a friend that had a sand pit line and Murphy's was marking the loads down like they were supposed to, and one of the neighbors says, do you know how many are going in? I said, well, this is what they paid me last year. They said, no, it's a lot more going over there. I'll believe you, right? He put a scale in that.
Yeah.
It was crazy, but I mean, still going, it's over north of Hamilton.
People feed if they can.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
5-year capital improvement plans.
All right, so for the 5-year capital improvement plan, again, here it is May, and guess what? We're starting to talk about projects. And so I'm just going to give you a very basic overview today, nothing in depth. It'll be quick. I drew on this board over behind Lee, which reflects what's on the screen, just to kind of share where our big construction projects are and where they're going. So this year, in the year 2023, we're reconstructing a section of County Highway N, and we're also reconstructing the spot up here by the Marion Body Works. That's big construction. That's not just the pulverize and repave. That's big earth moving projects. So that's where our focus is there. And when I build this 5-year capital improvement plan, I always start with that being like the number one thing, because everything else fits in around it because it's cheaper. So these are the most expensive road projects. So 2023, we have Highway N, and I guess the area in front of the Marion Body Works. Where are we going to go with our big construction crew projects then, where we're buying right away and doing that? We're going to this section of Double O. We've all made a trip on there, and we're reconstructing the section from E past Cody Deedwards Farms. And then we're pulverizing and repaving the little segment in between next year. And then we're reconstructing the intersection of Double O and 110 in 2024. Then what's next? We have to go somewhere. I want to continue on 2025, reconstructing the next section of County Highway N. And then in 2026, the final section of N. So we will have rebuilt this N corridor from Manawa to US Highway 45. We started back in 2018 or so. So this whole corridor will get rebuilt. And that was kind of Dean and Lisa Coombs's overall future plans. Reason being is if someone wants, say Highway 54 goes to hell or it gets flooded, which it can right along the river. You know how 54 is through this section. If something goes on with 54, well, how do you get traffic to go east to west? Either you run them down US Highway 10 or you run them up here to Highway N. So N will be able to hold heavier traffic in the future in the event that 54, something drastic happens to it. And we've seen high flooding, and that's the whole big picture thoughts of why N has become the priority. Plus it's narrow and the roads are shot. You can't put a 22-foot wide road or mat on it. Then what's the future? You're looking 5-year plan, 2027. I want to jump down here on County Highway A, and in today's plan, I want to jump down on Highway A and start this corridor project, rebuilding County Trunk Highway A. You can't really just pulverize it and put a 22-foot mat on the sections way to the south. You could up here on top, going past Brooks's Farms, but down here, you can't put a 22-foot wide mat, which is the minimum pavement width in today's designs. So starting up here and reconstructing Highway A all the way out until the year 2029. And the reason I wanted to talk about that is because there's so much planning and right-of-way acquisition and utility movements that although we're going to be reconstructing something in 2027, which is 4 years out, next year I already have to have put in the capital improvement plan for the design of it. So that's how that affects the 5-year plan that far out. The other roads that I have highlighted in brown, which was the convenient marker right here, everything in brown is for sure in the 5-year capital improvement plan where we're doing pulverizing and repave projects and where we're fixing the asphalt. So it kind of gives a big picture that we're spending the county's tax dollars wealth all over the place instead of really focusing in it all in one spot here or here. We've got big construction up north, again to the east, and we're doing it to the south.
Why? When we go to 27, 28, 29 on A, why can't we get by with a 22-footer?
Because right now,
the big farms, is that it? Or-
the existing pavement right now,
Because A goes nowhere,
right? And we can take a trip, but right now the existing pavement down here is 21 feet wide, and then the shoulders are like this big. There's no gravel shoulders. So if I want to put a 22-foot wide road and 3-foot shoulders on each side, the existing subgrade underneath it.
So how big are you looking to put there?
24-foot wide road. So it'd be a 24-foot wide.
About 3, it's 21 now, right?
It's what 21 now. It would not be like our big O's and our big T's. It would just be 24 feet wide of asphalt, which is perfect when you're sliding that front blade down snow plowing because the blades are 12 feet wide. Yes, when you cantilever them, they're a little bit more narrow, but a 24-foot wide road fits our plow trucks pretty well. And it helps with passing that large ag equipment back and forth a lot easier. So.
No, that's okay. I just wanted to ask those questions.
And when you say that, I'm thinking if you can put the extra money into the base, because as these trucks, I don't know how it's going with Ron Brooks's idea down here, but especially from 10 to Cross Road, if this goes through, there might be a fair amount of heavy truck traffic. And then if you use that same mindset about the N connection being an alternative route of 54, okay, say something is, there's a big accident on Highway 10 and they're rerouting people.
That's been
From
happening.
Wyega, then they can steer people around that with A could be part of that. There would be X and double E and.
When 22 has an accident, whether it's at Bear Creek Corners or anywhere through here, they reroute them. And the traffic just naturally takes them back roads, which is our end.
And the thing is now, yeah, Nancy and I have been on the road different times and you got your phone on for GPS and there will be an accident and it'll let you know. And it says, get off this exit, take this alternative route. And about half the people are doing it.
I missed one up here on E.
So that
one's
happened.
That one is really falling apart.
Yeah.
At the big falls there.
Projects, and then if I have a star by something, them roads aren't in the best condition, but they're not in my 5-year plan. And I've identified them that, hey, we got to start considering adding them or thinking of their futures as well, but can't do it all in 1 year. I want to have a little bit of construction, a little bit of paving. You got to have a little bit of money invested for professional engineering services. And then the rest is all maintenance dollars. So we also got some other big projects that are going on that don't necessarily cover mileage, and we're getting assistance from the state That's engineering and replacing the bridge on Highway E right up here north of Wapaka. We've got the one in Manawa that's coming up. I've always had something in my mind to do something with K down here by rural. From the Wapaka High School going south past the Red Mill to Rural Road. That's starting to break up real bad. There's the segment in New London, basically from Highway 54 going north past Walmart in front of McDonald's. That's breaking up real bad. So a lot of the stuff still will have grant application potential and such. Yeah, you got the box culverts that are failing.
Yes. I just brought a picture out on the farm papers. That's not
Oh,
a very
yeah.
good bridge, but that fertilizer truck,
I seen that
no
on
problem.
Facebook.
Yeah.
That was La Crosse area, isn't it?
I heard about that.
Yeah.
But, that's not exactly wooden bridge to take a,
Yeah.
and there was a way around it. I don't know if it says in that article, but the Facebook, it said that
You
the
know,
guy who could have went 3 miles farther
mhm.
and.
But you know, they got seasonal help too, and maybe the guy just thought that's the road and he didn't know about the other way or.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
Big picture planning, we are a big committee responsible for a lot, so right now we're spreading the wealth, we're fixing our infrastructure, we're aggressive at doing it, we're trying to get every inch with every dollar we've got. Much appreciated. The county, everyone that I've talked to said our county is amazing as far as our roads and how much we maintain and what we do.
no,
A lot of compliments.
your department does a great job. In finance yesterday. On this year.
ARPA funds, yeah.
The 1.175. Is there any chance that I haven't talked to her, are they even thinking about giving it to us, or is that just a wish that we put out there that?
So one of them is to replace a grader, which you got a $473,000 grader. So in our current budget plan, we've been spending $1.1 million a year, and we want to replace 2 trucks every year to keep in that fleet. You take 2 trucks, that's already going for 800,000.
Yeah.
There. So for me to replace a $500,000 grader, I can't do it and replace 2 trucks. So for 1 year, it's going to be a grader. The other year, and this is all tallying up to equal that
Yeah.
1.175.
Okay,
I'm asking for a grader. I'm asking to replace our rubber tire excavator. The newest one we have is a 2015, and it's been at the shop more than it's been in. We have to send it out. And then the other one is for our street sweeper. So them are 3 weird pieces of equipment that it's hard to generate enough revenue on it.
They don't generate revenue to take care of themselves.
They don't. The rubber tire hose may, if they're working, but them are 3 specialized pieces of equipment that equal that amount of money.
yeah,
So I have to give a presentation in June on behalf of the highway department as to why we're requesting it, and then the committee makes a decision. Why they need it, because
Okay.
we can't afford it.
yeah, is that the finance, I mean, it wasn't, they authorized the cameras for the sheriff's department, but not on the rest of it, so I'm just wondering how your, back and forth is working, if it was working, and,
And one of the things that Supervisor Federowitz mentioned to Greg and to Hank about is, why don't you request it for roads? That would serve the public more. Well, we can't fix the roads if we don't have the right equipment to maintain it, and our equipment our primary pieces of equipment. I don't know how to replace it without also replacing the trucks that we have to maintain all these towns. It's an impossible feat to beat it, so.
yeah.
Street sweeper, it's yeah, when you get a chip in your windshield, it's like, yeah, why didn't they sweep this?
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's for 3 special,
Okay.
and I'll talk about that in June.
Okay, all right, I noticed, I just looked at it and I just, okay.
I look at it in another sense, is that the county was given $10 million. ARPA funds, right?
Yeah.
And so far, our department has gotten $0.
Yeah.
And we're probably one of the most expensive departments. You'd think we'd be entitled to something of it,
Yeah,
but that's my opinion. Of course, I represent the highway department.
well, no, but I just didn't know if she was, I don't know where some of these,
Yeah,
where these thoughts come from and.
I think they look at the amount of money. Say, oh, we can afford it when they see that 1.1 million or whatever it is
Yeah.
out of their 3 millions.
Well, when they were trying to give away $3 million to what was it, Clintonville, New London and City of Wapaka. And I'm thinking, wait a minute.
They got their money. They couldn't get more.
Yeah, and Federowitz did that, but I was, come on now, let's put it back in the county,
On our solid waste committee, we had a bid on a forklift and they want a diesel one because they had a gas one years ago and it was a pain in the butt. And they got two bids, one was from Colorado and one was from here, and you give it 58 weeks, we defined it, we said, we're gonna redo this.
Yeah.
I gotta wait 58 weeks, our other one is working, but.
The electric one now.
Well, they didn't know enough about the electric yet and didn't get a bid on it, and they're gonna put that down.
Yeah. No.
And they don't know, they're afraid how much more that's gonna cost.
Yeah, well,
And
no.
I don't know, but what is the standards in forklifts?
Well, the power is,
I mean, we only had two bids, there's gotta be lots of companies that make
Oh,
those
yeah,
things.
my-
I mean, that's a pretty common piece of equipment. And it was very, very high. The bid that we got, we just said, hey, let's go out another month or two and see where we're at.
Yeah, it's a different situation. Would you believe already here, and it's May in September, which would be June, July, in 4 months, we already have to order our 2025 equipment. to
Did
get it
any of
in
your equipment
2025.
come in for those trucks you're trying to put together? No.
No, I got 4 truck boxes sitting back here with no chassis to put on them. The boxes came in, the plow equipment's here, but I got no chassis. July 1's first gonna show up
Hey,
here.
this is the time you want to put them together because in the winter you're maintaining all your other equipment.
The doors are open in the shop. You can weld on stuff with fumes not being in
Right.
a closed area. It's perfect.
Anything else under that 5-year plan? I know you've got, before you go on from there, I know you got to get some equipment for the wetland mitigation
Yeah,
stuff. Is that part of the 5-year plan?
that's part of it. Right now, we're taking our transportation services maintenance dollars and using it to fund our mitigation bank. So it's not coming out of our capital purchases, but it is a big project for.
But you're gonna need some equipment out there, right?
Yeah, like a forest roll, plow. Nothing real specific. I need some mats, some construction mats to help us bridge on top of the wetlands when we're digging some ditches out, but I got connections for all that.
Have you heard anything more on?
Every day I'm emailing Stuart, talking about title insurance, talking about, but as far as saying, here's the final comp plan. If you read my emails, I'm bitching him out nonstop.
I believe it.
I am.
He just sees that, just go with the flow.
Yeah.
If it ever dries out, at some point this summer, I want you to take the committee out there. You and I drove through it, but they need to feel it.
Right now, we're getting quotes on spraying the cattails and the canary grass. And the best option right now is with a drone. They have the drone spraying. So right now we're getting estimates for spraying that here soon before.
Not get stuck.
Yeah, well, it won't get stuck with a drone.
no,
And these, right now, that's how they're spraying cornfields and egg crops is with a 5 propeller drone that sits 30 gallons in the middle of it. That's heavy to get that.
That's
out.
yeah.
I always enjoyed going through Plainfield, watch those planes do that.
Yeah,
And the potato fields go under the wires and everything.
yeah.
Crop dusters.
Technology is sure changing.
Anything else under that area, Casey? No. Okay, supervisor reports, conference, some others. I've been to nothing, so I have nothing to say. It's
Next, we'll jump into our commissioners report.
personnel, anything there?
Lucas Kriesel, Al Kriesel is an employee of ours, foreman. You may recognize the name. We hired his son, Lucas Kriesel. They're out of different shops, not in the same chain of command. So he lives right near the Helvetia shop as well. I took him around to 3 of the facilities on Monday. Seems quiet and good, and we'll see how he does. So
Sure.
we've got 2 Kriesels on board. With hiring him, we're at full capacity minus the shop mechanic. So you hear some departments that are really short now. Sheriff gave his speech this morning as to how He's lacking personnel, and I sat there thinking, I'm fully staffed, knock on wood, we're lucky as a highway department, so. Yeah. We have made an offer to a seasonal employee that starts, there might be 2 or 3 of them that start in the next 2 or 3 weeks. Then we got another one out of Fremont, we're lining up an interview date with her. So I'm looking at having at least 5 seasonal employees this summer, that's good. Flagging, mowing, traffic control. Miscellaneous painting around the shops. We're doing good. Reputable place to work is what I'm referencing.
You have that here.
You have that here,
Yeah,
yes.
that's right.
Good management. Other than that, we are not currently recruiting. I've got no resignations or retirements coming up. That would move us into number 7, which is the project updates or the highway commissioners report. Because we just met 2 weeks ago, there wasn't a whole lot of changes to it. We've touched on 99% of it.
The ditching and progress on Q is looking really good.
Yeah,
Where in the world you go with all them boulders? There's a lot of them.
yeah. A lot of them went to Michael's Pit right off by Scott Olson's house,
Okay,
right off of Highway 10.
sure.
Yeah, I got.
All right, so for the highway commissioners report, May 16th, we've got the county board meeting. That's where I give our 2022 financial presentation.
Are you gonna say anything in that? About what you said at finance, about the number of townships that are,
I can, yep,
I think that seed needs to be planted, so when we don't help anybody out. That laid on the table, that they're aware of it.
bring that
And you
up.
can't do that without fun.
That was kind of going hand in hand with the report. Yeah.
Good.
Good. And you did well yesterday, right, Lee? I thought.
No.
The town of Union actually is hosting the Towns Association meeting coming up on May 18th. It's not the town of Bear Creek. I believe it's the town of Union. Yeah, so let's. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's. The town of Union is hosting it. I have to double check that one, but I thought it was the town of
It's
Union.
right by the ballpark in Simcoe, right?
Yeah.
Better shopping.
I'll have Sue check.
And then highway committee, I gotta be honest with this group by the time I go home today and I come back to work next week, Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday, which is basically 3 days of working, it's hard for me to create an agenda if I don't have a whole lot of things to talk about. So I just wanted to be honest about that. We'll have a payment batch registered to approve, but it's hard for me to put it together an agenda in 3 days.
For the
Why do you
16th,
say
you mean?
3 days?
Well, I'll come
We have
back
it
because I have to
posted.
post it Wednesday afternoon already,
Yeah,
a week ahead of time.
you can only talk about what's on the agenda.
Yeah, so I can come up with some stuff. I don't know yet off the top of my head.
Keep it more open ended then. Don't be such specificity.
Yeah.
I think it's good that we are talking.
Okay.
And I think a lot of stuff came up here today that needs to be talked about.
Yeah.
And like I said, and I hope that your buddy Stewart opens that door pretty quick, because I do know that we need to get out there, because once that comes out, everybody's gonna ask questions.
Yep.
And I went through there with you and that was eye opening. And you and I just drove through it the day we
Sure.
went and looked at that.
Huge.
It's unbelievable.
Mhm.
And I thought about it after that, all the questions I should have asked Casey when I was there, and we were just going to look at our little bike trail down by.
Scott Jonley should be planting beans in there at some point, but a lot of it's sitting wet yet, so he can't get in there. But that whole area this summer is planted in beans by Scott Jonley.
Still gonna plant some.
Yeah, he has a lease with the Land and Water Department with the county to lease that again this year, and then he's done.
Okay. And you know, I'm in your agenda, because you got your commissioner's report, you could add stuff in here,
Updates on construction.
but I mean, that we could talk about.
Yep.
That come up after the 3 days of doing your agenda.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Keep it generic.
Mhm.
That's my belief. And
Yeah, June 8th. I'm gonna be in Canada now. I'm gonna be fishing
That might be the time then
or
maybe.
drinking beer, I'm not sure which.
not a lot at the price of it up there.
Yeah.
So we're planning May 25th to be our next highway committee meeting.
Yeah.
In 2 weeks at 9 AM here. Right, as far as HR committee, we're not posting for full-time positions anymore. Lucas Kriesel started. Still working on the K and Tower Road. I met with Tony Chemnitz from the traffic safety level of things from the DOT. We looked at it. He told me what he needed, and we need to do a speed study in that little section, which is just part of the protocol of adjusting the speed limits, but he agrees with what we're doing. The town of DuPont's also asked for a speed limit study to be done on one of their roads, so that's where our digital board is collecting traffic. Rick Stibbs has put that out there. We'll do Highway K afterwards. Down in highway department activities in our shop, which is pretty busy of the things they're doing. We hauled our Larrabee brine tanks up there and put them on the north side of the shop. Continually waiting on chassis for the trucks. We're replacing our New London shop with all LED bulbs. Master Electric will help us with that, along with our custodian, Tom. Continue to do repairs on single and quad axle trucks that we kind of didn't focus heavily on during winter because we needed them for plowing, but it's those things that can make it last until you can do a more permanent repair. 208T is leaking oil, 210 is at Surrey. We're finishing the harnessing and the plow equipment. We're finishing unharnessing the plow equipment, so we should not have any trucks that were ready to go, but here it was just snowing a week and a half ago.
Yeah.
We're gonna respray the south face of them 3 great big sheds out there. You can see how they're kind of drying up. So we're gonna reseal those south facing sheds. Master Electric was hired and came in here and replaced some of the photo eyes in the locker rooms. When the contractor built it, I don't know if they went with low bid or what, but they just kept getting burnt out. So we replaced them with good ones. We've got one truck that we sent to Kenworth that's just getting tuned up. And then we talked about the floor drain in the New London shop. We've ordered that floor drain and casting and manhole, but honestly, that won't get done until summer construction season winds down. We're just too busy to focus on the New London shop floor drain. Out in the field, our crews are crack filling Highway 22 South with a performance-based maintenance job. That's 11 miles. We've been replacing culverts on Q, S, and E, getting ready for paving. So the underground stuff is in the ground. And then our superintendents have been attending a lot of town meetings, including myself. I went to Bear Creek for the first time. Dick wasn't there. Sorry about that, but I went to my first one and met Daryl Seafeld and Doug Banky, and then Teresa Huss.
Yes.
Yep, the new clerk. And got a lot of things that I want Sue Popham and her to work together on as far as it relates to the LRIP program and how it functions and works. Administrative and engineering, we got Highway G from Ace to Carper. I've reviewed that and sent it to Greg for his review, and then it's going back to Robert E. Lee. The town of Iola is requesting to have snow plowing service agreements. We're not taking on them, right? That's.
I would put that on your agenda next, coming up again.
Yep.
To talk, just so you got that door open that it can be talked about.
Okay.
We're gonna hear more and more. And I agree with you. Under present situation,
No,
we just will help them out if they're in trouble, if they would contact us about it.
Right.
I don't know what else you're gonna do until somebody says, hey, we're gonna feed you this kind of money to get this.
and that's the answer that he'd like. So that he can know if he can buy a truck. He needs to know if he needs to buy a truck or
I
not.
would highly suggest that.
County K and Constance Road speed limit. Other than that, I never updated any of the construction project stuff way in the back. It's because it's only been a couple days, weeks since I updated it last. We've replaced a lot of culvert pipes. We are gonna be paving the end of next week on Highway O. And then we're gonna put the second mat of asphalt on County Highway N. So we will be paving. Chano County hired us to pave for them already, so we've been up by them. We've got trucks hauling for Washera County today, hauling asphalt to their crews, so we're helping out to keep our employees chargeable and our equipment busy and chargeable. While we are still waiting on getting ready for pavement, and a lot of that is dictated by our asphalt suppliers.
I was at the dog park, I'm gonna say Monday or Tuesday, and it was raining, and one of your trucks was dumping gravel along the road, and I'm assuming they were doing the shoulder along that.
Shoulder belt, it fits up.
Do we always use those huge big trucks
Yeah,
with the bottom blade And that's what he was going along and,
Yeah, it used to be single axles.
but these were the big ones.
These are the big ones because they can haul more material and it's less shipping back and forth. So those bigger trucks now have the shoulder belts, we call them, on it, where it augers material onto a belt, it spits it out the side. The truck comes through and it cuffs it off with the underbody and then uses the tire to pack it. It's one machine and does it all. So, yeah, if we have big shouldering projects, then we take out our shouldering machine. So
Okay.
our shouldering machine
They
recently,
were doing a good job. Don't get me wrong. I was impressed. It was goofy weather. I mean, I'm glad they had work. you know.
it's for spot areas. But we did do some significant shouldering on County Highway G.
Yeah,
That was a significant shouldering
yeah,
project.
that was a lot of gravel there.
That's from the new Scandinavia Bridge to the north, the back way to get to Iola. We put shoulders on there using recycled asphalt, so it hopefully sticks and lasts longer. And then we did County Highway K south going to the Washera line with the actual shouldering machine and a whole fleet of trucks.
So after every winter, you gotta really
Amy
cruise
didn't
and
like
close
yours.
because of what you lose from snow plowing and whatever, right?
Right.
And quite a few of our older county trunk roads, G for an example, when I grew up on that road, there was deep ditches and no shoulders whatsoever. So all the shoulders that are there now are been filling in the ditch,
Mhm.
and there's still plenty of ditch. But that, it settles. It's just road gravel. There isn't any breaker or anything under there, and it'll get hard enough over time, but it's.
Crack filled it too this year,
Yeah.
and you can see that all the crack filling rubber's on the edge. That's because the asphalt's breaking off because the shoulders aren't holding it.
Amy didn't like your job on E north of Big Falls. The shouldering, Dean must have shouldered from their house down to Big Falls. But that shoulder is so bad, or the blackout on the outside, it must have left a lot of it on the road. When they could get it off.
Yeah, most of the time it comes out onto the road. It's because we put new shoulders on and the ditch divers drive down in the shoulder and pull it up.
But but it'll go away, just the first couple of days when you're driving there, you gotta watch don't drive close to somebody in front of you because the rocks will fly towards you, but yeah.
Yeah, I'll tell Dean that
Yeah,
Amy doesn't like what he does.
yeah.
All right, as far as financial reports, I've got a few just to kind of go on. I think we can plug through those. Anyone that you pick is good with me. So the first one is our revenues and expenses on our equipment from the end of April. We're doing real well compared to last year. Way at the bottom basically is a summary of this whole sheet. We're at $411,000, almost $412,000 more revenue than we were last year at this time. That's revenue over expenses.
Nice.
That's a huge reflection of not charging for the composite rate. And instead we're charging for each piece of equipment. And it's also a reflection of having a lot of good snow in March, which kept our equipment busy compared to last year. And all that is comparing last year. So we're doing well on the equipment revenue this year compared to last year. Municipalities with service agreements, it's still real early in the year. This is a real good scenario of what we talked about before. So I'm giving you a presentation saying that for the entire year from our service agreements, I need to generate $555,000. We've already generated $773,000 and construction didn't even start yet. So most every one of these townships have met their service agreement. And we didn't even get into the summer yet.
And it's just March.
And it's end of April. So that's why we need to rewrite it. So it reflects more of what we want to see at the end. And we're not charging them more. It's just rewrite it. Looks a little bit more accurate. Yeah. And then our last one is where our budgets sit, our maintenance budget on top. We're done. I would say we're done with snow plowing. We've spent 74% of our snow plowing budget so far this year. How much is remaining? We have $304,000. I'll ask Chris to do a 5-year average of what it costs to plow snow in October, November, and December, and make sure that we adjust that number based off of our overall pot of money remaining to make sure we have enough for snow plowing this fall. For this coming winter. And then as far as construction projects, we haven't even touched the tip of the iceberg on construction projects. So if you were to scroll down just a little bit on that. We've spent 7% of our construction budget. Of that 7%, most of it has went towards engineering and design costs. In 2 weeks, it might look a lot, I'm sorry, in about the next month, it'll look a lot different. Because we'll have done a lot more, but
Yeah.
we've got 5.3 million of waiting ahead of us yet to spend this year on construction. That's all I got.
Quite a bit. Yeah.
Wonder how our asphalt prices are gonna come in now. What are you thinking?
Asphalt prices, we bid that all out, so I could,
Well, that's okay. Did they come in?
they came in just slightly higher, but one plant actually went down and that was the one up in Marion.
Did I see how the oil's fluctuating again? I was shocked to see it down at 325 here. Usually when I go to Appleton, I fill up, it's 310 or something.
Yeah.
But it came down here now and it. From what I'm hearing is they're saying after Memorial Day. Well.
Go back up.
Typically, right.
Yep. I know you mentioned that last year, we spent 200, was it $393,000 or $293,000 more in diesel fuel than we, about $300,000 more in diesel fuel in 2022 than we did in 2021, and we bought less fuel.
Yeah, it's a little bit low. It used to be $16,000. Or $32,000, so yeah, double the price.
Which is an expense too.
Yeah, operations.
Yeah, the outlook for the economy remains to be seen, but it sounds like a lot of bigger companies, Amazon and different companies are talking some big layoffs. So.
Well, they say that what artificial intelligence is gonna do, how many people it's gonna bump up. Now. I don't understand it, but I know that, you know. Amazon has to scale way back, and they had so many buildings they built and everything else, and then, you know. It's interesting.
I look at them buildings, whether it's just Appleton or these ones on 4194 south of Racine. And we know what this building costs. You see the size of those, it's like,
Georgia, it's down there for my grandson's played baseball.
yeah,
Georgia, they were 2 blocks, city blocks long, brand new. And you could go, you know, another 2 miles and there was one that the grasses around it looked like it was still empty. And they were just building upon building. I mean,
Was this Amazon or was this?
no, just buildings. I mean, they were,
but
and this was just west of about 45 minutes west of Atlanta, you know, so.
it's buildings like this. They aren't pole sheds.
No.
Right.
Yeah, but just huge buildings. I thought, my God, what are you gonna do with all these? But Atlanta's, you know, not too far away. When all the semis are running down, I don't know which highway it was, 24 or whatever it was, but I couldn't believe, you know, none of these nice small shacks,
I think
$3.5 million house sitting on a hillside.
next week, the city of Wapaka Public Works Department has their groundbreaking ceremony for their public works facility.
Oh,
So that's coming up next week. They're gonna start that construction
Where's that gonna be?
behind the
Capricorn.
Ram dealer.
Yeah.
Field.
Yep.
Next to the Lakemans.
Good for them.
So it'd be easy us for a pop over and take a look at it.
I'm gonna try to get there. I have one meeting and I'm gonna just buzz through it and then get over here to the groundbreaking ceremony.
We
need to
move.
Okay, we have, our next meeting is the 25th then, 9 o'clock.
Okay.
Good. Thank you.
He's adjourning at 10.
And the grandson went